Seabird 198, one localizer established, descend RS.
1 localizer, send RS, 100.
Seabird 198, could you give me a wind check, please?
Showing 240.
Welcome Just Planes, I'm Basma from EgyptAir and we are here in Seattle for the next 2 days to take the delivery of the 787 aircraft. So we're here at Boeing Customer Experience Center, so let's go check it out.
Welcome to the Customer Experience Center. Kent Craver and my colleague Eric will be walking you through the facility today. What we thought we would do is just kind of walk you through and show you our facility. This facility is the Customer Experience Center. It's been open for 14 years and we're going to take a walk through some of our mock-ups and through our Customer Solutions Studio to talk about our services. The Sonic Cruiser. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this airplane was the leading candidate to replace our medium-sized twin-aisle airplane, the 767. The whole premise behind this aircraft was speed. And the thought was, especially from airlines, if they could do things that attract business passengers, that business passengers, if they could save time on a long-haul flight, that they might pay a premium. So this kind of was the leading candidate. Now, interestingly enough, while we were talking to airlines, we started to talk in general flying public. And a lot of times they told us they didn't really enjoy flying too much. They didn't like the process. But when they would see a picture of this airplane, or a model, they got really excited. What is that? Is it flying? I want to fly in it. I have to fly in it. So we launched a lot of groundbreaking research. We brought a psychologist in to direct the research. He teamed up with a cultural anthropologist, and we held focus groups and studies in cities, cultures, countries all over the world, really to get at what is it that we as humans, what do we need in this process of travel, and how could we learn from that, and then use it to help us design airplanes, specifically at the time, the interior of this airplane. Now, when fuel prices skyrocketed in the early 2000s, made this aircraft very expensive to operate. And our airlines told us we need more efficient airplanes more than speed. And the parallel program to the Sonic Cruiser was the 7E7. And the 7E7 became the 787, more traditional airplane, still using some of the same advanced materials, but 20% more fuel efficient than the 767. So this aircraft was the one we ended up building, but all that research that was started because of the Sonic Cruiser actually continued to help us inform our interior design philosophy of the 787, and that research actually continues today. And two big goals that came out of all this research is we wanted to connect people to the magic that is flying. Because one of the things we found out that no matter where we're from in the world, we love flying. We're fascinated with flight, but we become kind of disconnected from it over time. And much of that happens because of everything that happens in the travel process. You have to pack bags, you got to fight traffic. So we wanted to create a welcoming environment using the interior so that people would leave the ground experience behind them and focus forward on the flying experience and then use the airplane to reconnect to the magic of flight. All of this research culminated in a philosophy that informed our 787. So let's go take a look at the 787 now. Probably, I think it's about 70 people here for a 4-day meeting starting tomorrow. Please, go on in. So this is our 787 mock-up, -8. This is actually a full-length mock-up. It's our only full-length mock-up in the facility. Actual size of a 787-8. But we asked architects, how do we use architecture to create this welcoming environment? And they told us it was really easy. You modulate the feeling overhead. So we created this full-height dome as an option for airlines to help create that welcoming environment. The architects talked about a concept called compression and release. Medieval architects of cathedrals, mosques, temples, large places of worship. They wanted a big worship space, but wanted separation from outside. And they found if they brought people through a lowered ceiling entryway, just like a doorway a few meters high, a few meters in length, it created what they called architectural compression. And then people are almost drawn into that larger space. Jetways, when people board through the airplane, natural compression. So the idea was make the primary space physically as tall as possible, but the all LED lighting allows us to use the lighting to help create the sense of spaciousness even bigger. And you can see that carried down through the cabin. The LED lighting and architecture is designed to work together to create that greater sense of psychological spaciousness. We're trying to get people to leave that airport experience, ground experience, fighting traffic, all of those things behind them. And if we can kind of reset them mentally, then we're using the airplane to reconnect to the magic of flight. You know, in our research, every single one of our people as subjects had dreamt of flying totally unaided by anything mechanical, you know, just their bodies. Some fly upright, some fly like Superman. I actually fly like Superman when I dream I fly. But one of the ways we really connect to the outside in the sky on the 787 are the windows. Largest commercial windows flying. They are designed so that you can be seated and see outside, and most importantly to the experience of flying, see the horizon easily, you know, without having to do that whole crane your neck thing. You can just turn sideways and look. No window shades, electronically dimmable. What this allows is you can have the cabin, the level of lightness or darkness that you want, but still allow people to see outside if they so wish. Other things we've done too is we focused on things like latches and touch points. How can we remove things that might cause anxiety? So latches, you know, some bins you push in and they open up, some you pull down, they open up, some you pull up, they open up, or all those same things, they come down. So on these latches you can push on the top, push on the bottom, pull on the top, pull on the bottom, whatever's intuitive opens it. And then we designed the bin around luggage. We just wanted to make big bins that are big, hold luggage, shape a bag so that usable volumes increase. But when they're closed, they appear small. Physically opens the cabin up. Of course, probably the best thing about the 787 you can never see, because it's made of composites. It allows us to have very easily to have a larger pressure differential between the cabin air and outside air. So the effective altitude of the cabin air at cruise can actually be lower. So we can remove symptoms of being at higher altitude, things like headaches, muscle aches, fatigue, nausea, all these mild forms of altitude sickness. Combined with this pressurization, we have a little higher relative humidity. The airplane has a gaseous filtration system. It's going to filter out contaminants that we usually associate with dry air, that kind of irritated eyes, nose, and throat. And then a technology that we call smoother ride technology, and it dampens a really high amplitude vertical turbulence. So those really big pops, up and down movements that tend to make people feel a little motion sickness, this aircraft can sense those and dampen those out. So it's just little skips rather than these big bumps. All of these things combined, physically, people feel better when they get off of the aircraft, especially after longer flights. And I know on the flight that your guys are ready to take, right, it's going to be Seattle to Cairo. So the benefits of that long flight and of this aircraft should be quite prevalent. So the 747-8, brand new derivative of the 747, we applied the same philosophical goals that informed the 87 onto this aircraft as well. Please, go on in. So you see some similarities, right? But it is a different platform. And what I love about the 747 is it has two of the most unique exclusive spaces of any airplane any size, right? The only commercial airplane I'm aware of that if you're in row 1 or row 2, you actually get to ride before the pilots do, because they're upstairs and behind you. The aircraft itself is stretched by 5.6 meters. Most of that stretch is between door 1 and door 2. So it's this deck and the upper deck that gets the majority of stretch. Brand new wing, brand new engine makes this aircraft about 15% more fuel efficient per seat than its predecessor, the 747-400. So let's go up. Now the latter half of the upper deck in this mock-up is configured in a stereotypical older style business class high pitch, but the forward side, because we talked to some airlines that are government owned, and occasionally they want to borrow a commercial airplane for head of state, royalty, VIP of some sort, we're showing a space that would normally hold 4 mega first class suites. We're showing it with 2 of those suites removed and a lounge put in, effectively turning it into a 2-person VIP space. Just kind of an art of the possible. Definitely worth seeing, so please go on up. Now, you know, first class cabins, so, you know, basically, in a sense, our cabin overall cabin sizes are getting smaller, if not going away altogether, just because business class has gotten so luxurious. You know, it's full flat, direct aisle access, but some airlines do want to express a brand image, and so we'll still see these style of products flying today. This is where we sign the contracts when you're buying your airplane. So that's pretty much it for our mock-up walkthrough today. Now I'm going to hand you off to my colleague Eric, and Eric's going to take you through the part of our facility where we talk about our services.
So I'd like to welcome you to the Customer Solutions Studio here at the CEC. While in the rest of the facility we talk about the airplane, as we saw in the mock-ups, you see the philosophy of their interior design, you get to see the airplane. At this space we talk about the services aspect of the Boeing company. So how do airlines get that growth? How do they keep on adapting to that? One of the ways is not just by buying new airplanes, more efficient airplanes, bigger airplanes, but optimizing the operations of the airline itself, keeping the airplane in the air as long as possible, minimizing delays, minimizing disruptions. Over here on this screen we have the current flights in progress. Now this isn't a representation of all the airplanes that are currently flying, but rather how many flights are operating in the next 24 hours. As you can see, it's around 16,000 flights over the next couple of days. And what I like about this map is it kind of visualizes where the airplanes are going around the world. So you have clusters, for example, in the Middle East, Europe, North America, but it also shows the airplanes that are flying to more remote destinations, for example, here in Southern Africa, South America as well. But no matter where the airplane is flying, no matter how many airplanes are in the area, you're going to need support. Airlines are going to need support from their own operations from Boeing to make sure that airline's operations run as smoothly as possible. And this is another aspect of Boeing that you don't necessarily think about. It's not just the airplanes, not necessarily the services, but it's also the support. So here at Boeing, we have facilities and sites all around the world to help you with your parts needs, with your services, with perhaps repair centers if your airplane is on the ground. So that no matter where you are in the world, if you need a part through Boeing, we can get the parts shipped within 3 hours and the part to your airplane, no matter where it is around the world, in under 24 hours, just to get that airplane back in the air. So we're going to move over to this wall over here. Over here, I'm going to talk about the airplane life cycle story that I introduced in the entryway here. We don't just give you the airplane and let you have it and fly it. We will partner with you over the next 20-25 years that you own the airplane to make sure that the operations run as smoothly as possible and that we support you at all aspects. The acquiring phase is the phase that I talked about in the beginning with the models. This is where we place the aircraft that works best for your operations. The next phase is the readying for service. This takes place in the weeks, the months, even the years before that airplane has its first flight. This is where we train pilots. This is where we train technicians for the new aircraft that's coming into the fleet. And also we start placing a part inventory with the airlines so that they face as little disruption in their operations as possible. This stage is especially important for airlines that are taking on a new airplane. So for example, if you've been flying a 737 MAX and you are going to be taking on a 787, you need those pilots and technicians, you need that know-how of how that airplane operates, and that's where we prepare the airline for that. Then after 10 to 12 years, your airplane needs heavy maintenance, what's called a D-check. This is where the repair organization will strip the airplane down to its bare bones, start fixing it, replacing components, making sure that the airplane is still structurally flyable. But this is also a great opportunity to refresh the interior of the aircraft. It's a good opportunity to replace the avionics of the aircraft. Perhaps you want to introduce a new business class suite that caters to a new customer base that you'd like to sell to. Or perhaps it's in bringing in new technology that's come into the space after 10 to 12 years since you bought the aircraft. It's the best opportunity to do this. Now, depending on the airline, this can be anywhere from 10 to 25 years, just depending on, the brand of the airline, what their business plan states. But typically after 20 to 25 years, your airplane will have to transition out of the fleet so you can bring in new fuel-efficient aircraft with the latest technology and such. But what do you do with that airplane? Well, there are different aspects and different ways that you can offload that airplane. So for example, you can sell the airplane secondhand to another airline. You can also sell it back to Boeing and we will part it out for used serviceable materials. So anything on the airplane that's still usable we'll sell back into the marketplace. Or you can even create a Boeing converted freighter. So this is where you take an old passenger airplane and convert it into a cargo airplane to keep on producing revenue, since cargo can be a very large revenue generator for the airline. So as I mentioned before, we have 24/7 customer support. We also have an offering called Global Fleet Care. This is for airlines that want to outsource either completely or partially their whole services organization. So everything from engineering to parts to overhaul and maintenance. Boeing can take that on for the airline. Next, we have training and professional services. This is where I was talking about the great need for pilots and technicians in the future. Boeing has a network of training facilities all across the world. We have a services facility for training here in Seattle. For example, we have a pilot training facility in Miami where we bring in airlines to complete those training needs. An example of this could be if an airline is taking on, again, a new airplane type, they don't have the pilots to fly that airplane. So we can provide pilots for that aircraft. For example, we can provide a 787 crew to the airline so that they can fly that airplane while the airline's pilots are being trained, just so that you don't miss that first flight of the aircraft and you can keep on operating it as you bring that airplane into your fleet. Next are our digital solution and analytical tools. This is everything to do with data. Airplanes nowadays create an immense amount of data, but what do you do with that data? Here at Boeing, we use Boeing Analytics to optimize the operations of the airline and the airplanes to make sure that they realize as many potential cost savings and efficiencies as possible. So for example, one of our most popular tools is called Fuel Dashboard, and this is a digital solution that helps airlines manage and optimize their fuel consumption. Next, we have our engineering, maintenance, and modification portfolio. And this can be a great range of solutions for airlines. It can be anything from optimized maintenance plans, can be anything to modifications, engineering services. So if airlines want consultation for a modification they're having to the airplane, they can consult with us to make sure the engineering is proper and fit. We also provide aircraft on the ground, or AOG services. So if an airplane is on the ground somewhere in the world, we can send a team to help get that airplane back in the air. And then finally, we have supply chain. This is probably our greatest core competency. As a manufacturer of the airplane, what do we know best? We know the parts and components of that aircraft. So when you buy from Boeing, you know that you're getting a certified part, a part that's not going to fail because we have the Boeing brand behind it.
So now we're at Boeing Everett facility. So let's go and have a look.
Hi, my name is Dave Reese. I'm the manager for executive tours here at Boeing in Everett. And behind us is a 747-8 freighter. This is line number 1,554. And we've been building 747s here for the last 50 years.
Hi, my name is Brianna Jackson. I am the communicator for the 787 program here at Boeing, and we're here at the 787 line. Coolest, most innovative airplane that's flying right now. Our future airplanes notwithstanding. The 787 Dreamliner is an industry changer, a game changer, and it really incorporates all brand new technology, making it one of the most efficient airplanes on the market right now.
Well, this is one of my favorite places in the factory. This is where we're building the 787. And you see here, we can almost reach out and touch the wingtip. We have 4 787s here in the factory. We build them here in Everett and also in Charleston, South Carolina, a total of 14 a month. The parts for this plane come from all over the world, and they're brought here and put together and delivered from our field to the customers. Currently about 60 customers for the 787. This is airplane number 899 of the fleet of 787s that we've built. Well, that's the end of our tour. Thanks for joining us. We're very glad that you were here in this place where incredible things happen. And we are so excited to have the new airplane for EgyptAir with biofuel. Best wishes on your flight.
EgyptAir Training Academy. I've been working for EgyptAir since 1980. working a lot مختلف محافظات
Rick, 1, 2, 3. And one more. Really happy. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. You're welcome. Thank you.
After the comments are made, we will take photos of the entire group.
Thank you, Rick. And good morning, everyone. On behalf of the men and women of the Boeing company, I'd like to have a special welcome to our special guests, Vice Chairman Ihab Ghazi. And this is a testament to the vision of EgyptAir and the Egyptian government to use sustainable fuel to help manage the impact of our industry on the environment. With that, I would like to give the
787-9. One of the things that we like to celebrate is that this airplane is highly fuel efficient all by itself. So it has 20% savings of emissions.
That is moving forward. Keep stating the vision and mission. Thank you, everyone. I'm really happy to be here.
But this one is even more special. So this aircraft is a pioneer, a real pioneer. A pioneer of power, but a pioneer of sustainable power. Yeah, it's special training to use these.